Hi guys, my name is Roger Ribeiro. I'm here at Morning Star Flight Academy this afternoon. Wind is picked up a bit. We're looking at gusts of 23 knots and wind of 11 knots from the west. We'll be flying Zulu Uniform Foxtrot Sierra Lima and taking it through the ground checks, run-ups, takeoff, landings, circuits, and we'll try and make this as instructive as possible to assist aviators, specifically at Morning Star. Zulu Uniform Foxtrot Sierra Lima is an X-ray 333 aircraft, and it is in LSA configuration. Right, so on preparation for the flight, we obviously got to make sure that we've done the pre-flight inspection. We take our time to ensure that the aircraft is safe and there's no issues with the aircraft, obviously. You're also going to ensure that there's a valid fire extinguisher, a valid first aid kit, communication strips, and in case you're going for a navigation trip more than 20 nautical miles, it should have 5 liters of water. As far as documentation is concerned, you must make sure that the necessary documentation is in the aircraft before you board. The documentation in the case of navigation obviously would be maps. You need to have a valid pilot's license, valid aviation medical certificate, a radio station license, operator's license if required, the 5-year mass and balance of the aircraft, mass and balance calculation for this particular flight, certificate of registration, certificate of airworthiness, the authority to fly, finally pilot operating airbook and aircraft maintenance manual. Right, it is very important that the safety is paramount, and therefore the pre-flight inspection ensuring that even the seating position is correct and that all the necessary documentation has been certified as being on board. Right, so I've left the avionics on in order to get the communication going. I'll switch it off before we switch the aircraft because avionics has to be off prior to switching the aircraft. This is just to make the video. Master's on, FS backup on, check instrumentation, altimeter 220, 220 feet above sea level, transponder has been set on standby, radio 124.80, which is Morning Star, which is Special Rules East. I don't think we'll be going anywhere else, but in case we go to Delta 200, I will set alternative radio station to 124.40, which will be common to Morning Star pupil. Right, so we're ready to start the checks. We're going to actually start the motor. So it's master on, FS backup on, fuel pump on, to check that the fuel pump is drawing. You can actually hear it. Fuel pump off. I'll now switch off the avionics to start the engine, and I'll shout clear prop. So now we have the first thing you check after starting the engine is of course to see that there's immediate pressure, which there is. We are going to now check the flaps. So avionics has obviously been put on, gyros have been put on, taxi lights are on, flap check, flaps 2, flaps 1, that's 15 degrees and flaps up, flaps are working fine, float front controls, right. The most important thing is to make sure that you're prepared for the flight, which I've done. So I was aware that wind would be a little bit hectic today, so we're looking around 12 knots, and we are looking at gusts of around 25 knots, which is not really ideal. We set the trim to neutral, which is now set to neutral. So temperatures and pressures, well, we're looking at the temperature of 41, which is fine for taxiing, and we require 50 degrees for takeoff, 30 degrees for taxiing. Right, so the first thing we make sure is that we go through our checks, roam fries. So RPM, we set to 2000 RPM, cool the engine. Oil pressure and temperatures are all in a green. Oil temperature is still sitting at 42, which is fine for taxiing. We'll just view that on run up. Ammeter voltage is drawing. Mixture is not applicable to Sling to aircraft. Fuel 50 liters, flaps up, free flow flight controls, radios on, it's set to 124.80. So radios on, which is set to 124.80, transponders on. Instrumentation, altimeter is set to 220, barometer, we set it to 220. Electrics, ammeter, and circuit breakers, and safety harness done, hatches closed, with canopy and safety briefing. Safety briefing, these are emergencies which we must prepare ourselves for and the counteractions. This will be done with the passengers, of course. The first one, if you're rolling down the runway and experience an emergency, we're going to close the throttle, brake and stop. If already rotated with sufficient runway to land back on, we're going to close the throttle, apply flaps, land, brake and stop. If there's insufficient runway to land back on, we're going to try tank glide speed of 72 knots. We're going to look 30 degrees left and right of the spinner for place to land. We're going to switch off mags, close fuel, apply flaps, switch off master, land. If I'm comfortable coming the aircraft safely to land, we'll do a short circuit, normal landing procedures. And lastly, if we're struggling to rotate and exceeded 50% of the runway or pointed decision making, going to close the throttle, brake and stop. Nav lights on, taxi lights on, master, IFS backup, IFS, avionics, gyros. So now we're going to do a radio check. Morning Star Traffic, Foxtrot Sierra Lima, radio check please.
India Yankee, read you saying 5.
Thank you, but I'll read you 5 as well.
India Yankee, taxi holding point runway 20.
Right, so now we're going to taxi on Bravo, Sierra Alpha to holding point runway 20. So we're going to do a radio call. Morning Star Traffic, Foxtrot Sierra Lima, taxiing from Morning Star Southern Angus, Bravo Sierra Alpha to holding point runway 20, Foxtrot Sierra Lima. That done, release brakes, start taxiing, stick back, brake check, good. When we do the turns here, we're going to have a look at the gyros. See the gyros are working fine. Get some ventilation going through here.
Traffic, November Kilo Charlie, inbound from the north, over the N7 at 2,000 feet. I'll be over to joining in 1 minute.
We're at holding point runway 20. We're going to turn into the wind. Apply brakes. Lock brakes. Obviously at this point, if it was a PPL configuration aircraft, this aircraft only has one fuel tank. If it had two, we'd change fuel tanks, fuel pump on. And now we're going to do a power check, which is 4,000 RPM on this aircraft. We hold the stick back. Brakes locked. 4,000 RPM. So now we're going to check left magneto first. Right magneto. So what we're looking for here is that magnetos may not reduce your RPM by more than 300, and the variance between magnetos may not be more than 125 RPM. Pull down to neutral. Neutral is usually between 1485.
Charlie, over the field is 1,800 feet, descending on the dead side, joining left crossing for runway 20.
So neutral is usually between 1485 and 1685 RPM. Back to 2000 RPM to cool temperatures and pressures. Now I see our temperatures climb to 67 degrees. All our temperatures are now in the green. So too many casual pilots forget good habits easily. So temperatures and pressures are now in the green. Master is on. Magnetos have been checked and is on start. Choke is in. Power check done. Fuel 50 liters. Flaps 1. Pitch neutral. Free-flow flight controls. Gyros on and have been checked. Harness, hatches, canopy, safety briefing completed. Electrics, ammeter, pulling. and circuit breakers. Landing light on, taxi lights off, strobe lights on, release brakes, turn, stick back, scan the sky, no aircraft in sight, radio call.
Morning Star traffic, Foxtrot Sierra Lima entering runway 20.
Line up onto the runway into the center line. Ailerons into the wind, which is from the west. Transponder on alt, DI to compass. Landing lights on, strobe lights on, fuel pump on, flaps 1, pitch neutral. Radio call.
Morning Star traffic, Foxtrot Sierra Lima taking off runway 20. Will to be left out and be remaining in the circuit. Foxtrot Sierra Lima.
All clear. Release brakes. Power. Gradual, right rudder. T's and P's. RPM. Airspeed is alive. A bit bumpy today. So now we climb to 500 feet. After takeoff checks. Brakes. Fuel pump off. Landing lights off. Flaps up. Definitely very bumpy. We're climbing to 700 feet. We're going to turn left. And keep climbing. Gradual turn. Keep climbing to 1,000 feet. Basically your turn should be just on more or less the center of the quarry for a perfect circuit. So just before we reach 1,000 feet, reduce power. Remember to be gentle with the power. We definitely
traffic, Foxtrot, November, on the eastern slopes of Quebec Hill, 1,500 foot, routing to Morningstar for doing a landing, next call overhead.
A lot of wind, it pushed our height slightly above where we should be. Reduce power to under 80 knots.
Morning Star traffic, Foxtrot Sierra Lima, left downwind 20, touch and go.
Fuel pump on. Landing lights on. Flaps 1. A lot of crosswind. So we're now coming to base. It's not compulsory to call base out, but I prefer to call base as well as final. We're slightly higher than we should be. We should be at 1,000 feet. I'm 100 feet higher than I should be. I must compensate for that. Reduce power. Flaps 2.
Morning Star traffic, Foxtrot Sierra Lima, left base 20, touch and go.
Crosswind is quite hectic. A little bit higher than we would prefer. What speed?
Traffic 158 in the Yankee inboard. Stellenbosch crossing
On to
the
final.
N1 at English Garage is going 119.
On up to the center. What speed? Flaps 3.
Morning Star traffic, Foxtrot Sierra Lima, final 20, touch and go. Morning traffic, Foxtrot, November, overhead Morningstar, 1,500 foot, we're reaching a correction descending the western dead side to join a left crossing runway 20, Foxtrot, November.
Here she goes. Watch your speed. Don't want to drop speed more than that. Right, back at the hangars. Switch of procedure. First of all, flaps 3. Switch off from right to left. Gyros.